And welcome back.
Jeez.
We just went straight into it there.
Nobody's listening.
Straight into it.
Straight into it. We announced this one, though. You know, sometimes we don't announce them at all.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and you might want to consider doing this with your. Bear with us, people. All right. See, this is the pro that the good thing about nobody being in the chat right now.
No, there's one person.
Okay. All right. It should be fine. All right. Welcome back. Backcountry BSing, number 70. Scott's back. We have a pretty special thing we're going to do today. And this is kind of it's kind of an interesting idea, I thought.
Yeah, it was kind of a cool concept. You just mentioned it, and
I just kind of pitched it.
yeah.
First, before we get into that, Scott, what are we drinking?
So we literally just
Scott
this
always
morning,
brings goodies over.
So if you haven't tuned in, I'm just going to shamelessly plug.
No, please do.
Endeavor
I meant to.
Brewstillery's YouTube channel. We just had our Friday Live at 5 happy hour, so I'm already like 2 beers deep here.
I put a link to your channel in the description.
Thank you much, sir.
Yeah. The least I can do.
So we talked about that. We met with our brewmaster today, and we canned out 2 beers fresh this morning.
So this is canned this morning.
This morning, literally, yeah. We finished up with a Saga a little bit before noon, and that one about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yes, Atlantic Saga is back in cans, and this is our Gall
Smooth.
Yeah.
Imperial IPA. So if I just ask you guys, what ABV do you think that is?
It tastes low.
It tastes like 6, is
Yeah.
what most people say. It's 11.
What?
Scott.
Yeah.
Scott, you're coming on here giving us we have to plan a backpacking trip.
I know. That's why I'm going to drink the 4.7%
Okay.
Icelandic Saga.
Easy.
Scott's sandbagging us. Now, why does this not taste like an 11% beer?
Well, there's a few reasons why that is. One is that our brewer knows what he's doing. We have really good equipment, and we've used a yeast that has a high tolerance for high levels of alcohol. So a Brut Reserve Belgian-style yeast that can handle 11% alcohol and not go into autolysis and create a lot of stress on that yeast, which creates a lot of off flavors.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times when people have a big beer, you get a lot of like syrupiness to it, where it's almost like a Robitussin sensation in your mouth and these weird, yeah. So it's not, that to me is not pleasant. This is also very dry. So it's a Brut Reserve, meaning that it's actually a lower density than water.
I would have never thought that was 11%.
No, that's dangerous.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
I feel like that number should be bigger on the can.
Yeah, that's why it's brute with kind of a violent Roman, invasion scene there. Sasquatch is definitely hidden in that can.
I was as you were talking, I bet it's in the Coliseum.
There you go.
Is it? Oh, it is. It's right there.
I see
You got him.
Yeah.
It's funny because there was a bottle shop that had 2 locations in Columbus. They just closed down during COVID, but they were called Craft to Draft. And the guy who owns it, Mike, shout out, he's awesome. He was one of the most knowledgeable beer guys in Columbus.
Nice.
And he tried, when we first made this beer a while back, Cameron brought a sample. And he said, "How strong is this beer?" And Cameron told him. And he looked right at him and said, "You're trying to kill someone, aren't you?"
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, this tastes like an all-day IPA. Like, it doesn't taste alcoholic at all.
Until you have your first one, and you try to.
I'm glad you told me. I would have just drank this like it was like a regular IPA.
I should have told you and not.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go pick up someone at the airport later."
Yeah.
That's also why we have it in 4-packs and not 6-packs.
I should have figured that out. Awesome. Okay.
Nice.
So I'm only gonna have one of these. Thanks for coming. So the genesis of this was we are going to be going out to Colorado with Scott this summer. We got a rough time frame. We got a rough time of the summer we're going to go, and we were just texting, and we were going to get together and plan the backpacking trip. And I was like, well, wouldn't it be cool if we just did it live as a podcast? And we could talk about planning a trip in general, and then we can plan this trip specifically. So I thought it'd be kind of a fun idea. And first, because I saw the comments, Team Moderna is back.
Oh.
Yes.
You're Team Moderna too.
And Moderna 2 kicked my
Hold on.
Okay, first,
Moderna kicks you and then brings you back up.
Exactly.
when they say that only like only 1 out of 5 people experience side effects
That
on
is
the
such
second shot.
crap.
That is horse shit.
Okay, and then also here's my funny story. When I got the second one, you know, right before the lady gave it to me, she's like, "Yeah, there's just some side effects. It's just a sore arm." And I just started laughing. I'm like, "No, there's more than that." And
It was it wasn't as bad for me as I think it was for you or you. Like
had
I was only in like dire straits for like 8 hours.
I was down for a day and a half.
Yeah, mine was I was fine. Like we did our podcast. I got my when you were on my channel last week.
But how far in were you?
I got mine at like 10 o'clock that morning.
Okay, so
So you
no,
must
but right when you
16
got
hours
home,
later.
yeah,
2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and was in a bad way until probably 12 to 14 hours after. So like 4 or 5 o'clock that next day, I was starting to feel better, just wiped out.
I was I was pretty bad for like 8 hours, but like 48 hours of feeling a little off.
Yeah.
So can't wait to get the booster.
yeah. I was down for a day and a half. It was awful.
Wow.
Yeah,
But I honestly, I don't want to detract
Yeah.
people from getting the vaccine.
Get it? Yeah.
yeah.
It is worth it. I mean, knowing, and it takes 2 weeks to reach full effectiveness after the second shot, so we're not there yet. But just knowing you have, it's such a good feeling. Like I am just ready to go to the bar. Like I'm traveling. I don't care.
Looking doorknobs again.
I do not give.
I know a guy that owns a bar.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know it's helpful.
He's kind of an ale.
And so yeah, Team Moderna's back. Second shot is a real kick in the balls.
Yeah.
This guy, you can watch the baby monitor.
Yeah, I'm used to it, believe me.
We're back though, ready to plan this trip. Okay, so we are not going to say the exact time we're going. It will be in the summer, but
We're looking July, August,
Yeah.
So people know Colorado climate.
So one thing I do want, before we actually get into this trip, one thing I did want to talk a little bit about is just considerations in general when you go to plan a backpacking trip. So first is, what do you guys have to do to pay off your wives?
Oh, I have.
wife dollars.
Yeah. It costs money.
It costs Andy actual money.
Okay.
See, Scott, that might be better than what Scott has to do.
Mine's actual physical cash.
Wow. But how does that work with the wife?
Yeah, quick pay.
Oh, seriously?
Or I'll just say, just credit card or whatever. But it costs money.
That's so. I have a friend of mine, Juarez Suarez, who's from Brazil, and I've climbed a few peaks with him. So we climbed Aconcagua down in Chile. Then he came up to Denali as part of our Denali team a few years back, and I got to meet his wife and kids when they were visiting Santiago, Chile, like just passing through randomly. And his wife was telling me that every time he does a big climb, he's gone for 3 weeks, a month, she does something. So one year they adopted a dog.
Does he have children?
The next year, he has a couple of kids.
All right.
The next year, she redid their entire kitchen.
Okay.
But she won't tell him what she's going to do, but she does something big.
Does she
while
do
he's
it
gone.
during that 3 weeks?
I don't
Yes,
know if we want
during
our
the
wives
time.
to be listening to this.
So
Let's just stick with cash.
yeah, just stick with the straight up cash. But so it was hilarious. He's like, yes, every time I go, I do not know what I'm going back to. It's just like, something is different in his life significantly.
That's pretty impressive to do a kitchen rehab in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
that's a good. So
But she had had it all lined up.
okay.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I don't do anything for my wife. I take it as like, you get a break from me. So I can kind of sell it that way. Okay, but actual considerations for planning a backpacking trip. So specific to this Colorado Trail, like things that we potentially can care about, like how much of a pain is it to get to the place from the airport? These are these are like considerations.
Absolutely.
And first of all, like, what are you traveling? Are you flying? Are you taking a road trip?
These are also considerations.
Yeah, because if you're flying, and we've done it before where we go straight to the trail, so like there's no spare clothes, there's no.
Yeah, we've done that before. That's another
And
consideration.
especially if you don't have a rental car to leave stuff
So
in,
that's
or a
another
locker at
thing.
the airport, or
We,
someone's house. Yeah.
We always try to avoid renting cars.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
But it's just so silly to rent a car to have it sit at a trailhead.
Totally.
So one thing, like when we're planning trips, now this doesn't apply to this trip because,
we have some nice features.
We'll get
to
there.
this, yeah.
But one thing we always kind of investigate is if there are local outfitters that drive you to the trailhead, because in a lot of places that exists. Sure. And it's actually crazy to me. Now, Art of the Trek is doing this. So Art of the Trek is this company that sponsored some of our videos, and they're doing this for free right now, where they're not shuttling people, but they will, like, if you just tell them, I want to go somewhere for 4 days, they'll plan the whole thing.
Will they plan the transportation?
I'm sure if you asked them to, they would.
Like, how do I get from A to B?
Yeah, I'm sure if you're like, hey, I need transportation, they would. But anyway, there's no resource other than what I just talked about that does any of this. It's all like YouTube videos, message boards, reaching out to people on Instagram, and it throws kind of a curveball into this whole process.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to go somewhere that's like deep.
Reminds me of a business model my buddy Eric and I talked about on our last backpacking trip. We'll talk about that later.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, interesting.
Is it shuttling people to the trail?
Is it Scott's Expedition Service?
No, it's basically just a van. I've removed the word candy that's been spray painted on the side and apply a logo of some kind. Yeah.
So travel, a good consideration. If you need to like hotels on the way to, I'm trying to think of like if you go to Glacier or something and you got to fly somewhere, you might have to stay at a hotel on the way. Like when we went to Isle Royale, that's another consideration. And we haven't even gotten to the logistics of the actual trip itself, like parking at the trailhead if you have to, water sources, campsites.
Got to get fuel,
food.
Fuel. Those are both good. Those are both good things. Because whenever we fly, we got to stop and get camping fuel.
And depending on your airline and where you're going, how much weight's allowed, if food is part of that or not.
So there's
all kinds of.
So that's like for the TRT, we're kind of running into that. Like I cannot take 2 weeks worth of backpacking food with me on the plane with I don't know if I can.
You got to buy some locally,
That's like 30 pounds.
Or are you flying Southwest?
Southwest is two free.
It's true. Yeah. One of my baggage things could just be a thing filled with backpacking food.
Yeah, when my wife and I drove around Iceland when we developed this beer, actually, we drove the rim road and we brought an entire duffel full of basically camp food because we were just in a camper van and food in Iceland is so expensive that we're like, we can throw $200 worth of camping food in this duffel and it's going to save us $1,000.
That'll save you
this shirt.
Yeah, we just made some more of these.
Is this new?
No, we've had this for a little while. We've
Not
got a blue
to
one
entirely change the subject.
Yeah,
but that's a sick shirt.
Endeavor National Park. So.
Sorry, okay, back to food. But that's a good consideration. I don't think about food because on our big trips, we've been able to bring it with us or mail it out there. That's another thing you can do. I didn't think about fuel. And sometimes the fuel consideration actually changes what stove we bring with us.
Absolutely.
Because it's a lot more of a pain sometimes to get alcohol than it is to get a canister.
Yeah, it kind of depends on if you're going to an outfitter town or a normal town.
Right.
Because if you're at a place where there's a Home Depot, then you can grab a gallon of fuel bin. You got to put it in a smaller container.
Yeah, right. And
you
got this leftover
of or a quart or
I know. So for alcohol, my go-to is a gas station. Get the heat bottle.
The heat, yeah.
Or if you go to a place that's an outfitter town, you can go to an REI. And get a camping.
My go-to is I just get the faints from my distillation process from making vodka
that's cheating.
And fill up a liter and tape it up and bring it.
That's cheating, but that's awesome. You can do that.
Yeah, but it actually because you can fly with alcohol if it's like packaged alcohol, just not fuel. So mine is technically.
So like,
beverage alcohol.
Can you carry a bunch of like?
Do you have to put it in the 1 ounce containers?
No, but he could check.
I could check. Yeah, I could check. A bottle of vodka.
Can you
why not?
Can you also drink this alcohol?
Yeah.
So like when we went to Isle Royale, people brought Everclear because it was more efficient.
That's what I'm bringing.
So this 11% stuff.
There you go.
It's a walk in the park.
What's some 96% Everclear?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's 96%.
Yep.
So
does it evaporate really fast?
200 proof or whatever.
It can. Yeah. So you can never have 100% or 200% or 200 proof alcohol because it forms an azeotrope. Here's science, and it draws in moisture from the air. So the minute you expose it to air, it will draw in that moisture. So to get it to pure alcohol, you need to like dry it in a laboratory kind of setting.
Yeah.
It gets really crazy really fast. So in practical terms, 95, 96% is more or less the highest you can actually get alcohol
Okay.
in real everyday practical life.
I see what you mean. Yeah, because don't they, to get 200 proof, don't they have to add stuff to it to like or like, don't they?
It's a drying process that's
Yeah.
only laboratory, but then once you expose it to air, if
just
those
sucks up water.
it's exactly.
Okay,
So,
cool. Any other considerations you can think of before we actually get into this trip?
People should watch our Colorado Trail series on how we brought our backpacks.
That was a good thing. Now we don't have to deal with this on this trip, and we'll get to why. But when we on our last Colorado trip, like just flying with a pack because we couldn't stow luggage anywhere.
Yeah.
What we did, and we like went up to the Southwest counter and we told them what we were doing, and they loved it. We had to pack like, and we needed some for the return trip. We just took a big trash bag.
Yep.
Put the pack around it, and then duct taped the trash bag and just left the carrying handle out the top of the trash bag, and they put the luggage tag through it, and they loved it.
I've seen that with industrial shrink wrap too.
Yeah.
You can get the big, like basically saran wrap and wrap it around stuff.
The only downside to that approach is you need to carry extra stuff for the way back. So we carried like extra trash bags and luggage tape to fly home with.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was a good way. Now the way we'll do it these times around are I literally just have like an actual suitcase that the pack fits in with everything.
Sure.
But the trash bag with the duct tape worked really well. And then we just looked like hood rats at the baggage claim in the airport and like after we landed, just ripping our packs out of the trash bags. We were like, what are you doing? That was a good consideration though.
Yeah, that's not my idea. That was online. And that was like a what are those contractor garbage bags?
Yeah, like
real
the
thick.
big
The
ones.
trash compactor ones are really nice.
Yeah.
They're thick, but the contractor ones are.
Okay, that was good.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got your logistics, right? So from my point of view, you've got to think about a few different things. One, there's your primary logistics, like kind of all the stuff we were talking about. But to me, almost the most important thing is sort of the spirit of the trip and making sure that everyone in the group is sort of on the same page.
That is a very good consideration.
This is something that most groups of people completely are. If you're going solo anywhere, you know just innately what kind of trip you want.
Yeah.
You don't have to have this conversation
It's a
with
great
yourself.
point.
But like so many times when you get out there with a group, and the larger the group, the more important this is. That let's make sure we're all in the same. So if one person's out there, we're going to do 25 miles a day, and like we're going to get the mileage in, and the other person's like, I'm just down here to kick my heels up and like make a campfire in the evenings and sit in a chair and make some barbecue.
This is a great point.
It's going to be a harsh trip because those two personalities, and I'm kind of, I like both ways. I don't care. You know what I mean? But
Scott, we're not doing 20-mile days.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
deal. But it's sort of like, just there's sometimes when people have very strong opinions about what something should be, and not everyone's on the same page.
This is a really good consideration, though.
And we have experience with
we
that.
have, and I say that because we have direct experience with this. Sure. But that's a good thing. I wouldn't have thought of when talking about this.
Sure.
Especially if you're flying somewhere for a long period of time, bigger trip.
Yeah, you got like 8 days.
Yeah,
I know.
And you have you've got to go from point A to point B. And you have a flight to catch and transportation lined up. Like, hope everybody planning on doing that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll see you at the airport.
Yeah. Good point, though. All right. So I'm going to let you preface this trip because you're the pro here. We're going to Colorado. That's all. We're going to Colorado. We have a general idea of what we want to do, but you have proposed a few options.
Yeah.
And I know we can work through them. And how this is going to work, everybody, is I'm basically just going to pull up a web browser on the screen. We've got books here. We've got laptops. And we're just going to go through the process. I got no set agenda for it. I'm going to let you kind of drive it because you have a lot more experience in Colorado than we do. And then when it comes specifically, if we do some 14ers, I have zero experience with that. So I'm going to kind of let you father this trip.
So
I don't know if that's the right term.
We should.
Sounds so creepy.
That's weird.
Speaking about a candy van.
It does sound weird.
We should probably start out with how many days are we going to go for?
So let's start out with the topicals.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, and I know we've already kind of discussed this.
It's a shorter trip.
3 nights, 4 days.
Yeah.
Maybe with the option of a 4th night. I don't know. Definitely 3 nights, 4 days. And then I don't have a mileage in mind because I know that depends on what, and another thing we're going to get into is we would like to do something on the Colorado Trail. Doesn't have to be on the Colorado Trail. And I like the idea of doing a 14er. That's why we've got this here. But other than that, it's pretty open-ended. Now, something we don't necessarily have to worry about with this trip is travel logistics won't be as difficult. Like proximity to the Denver airport isn't necessarily a huge consideration for this trip.
No, the farther away we get into really remote areas, then the more difficult it will become. But so to set the scene, I'm blessed. My family has a place in Evergreen, Colorado, which is about an hour from the airport, 45 minutes outside of Denver. And we have a car out there. I'm also going to be driving my family car, so we can be dropped off. We can leave a car at one end of a trail.
See,
we can get picked up. We can do a linear trail. Like we can do a lot of different options. So depending on what we decide to do, it's more about talking to the wife and will you drop a car off here, then drop us off here, or will you drop us off and pick us up here 4 days later?
Yeah,
See, this even makes the planning harder because we have way more options of what we can do.
Exactly.
But that's also the problem with the Colorado Trail because you can probably build some sections into some loops with some other trails, but they're either
there's no loop. There's no looping on this.
Well, what would be really cool would be we're talking about going down to potentially the collegiate area,
So
and you can do a big loop. But I mean, that's more than 3 nights to do because there's a split. You know what I'm talking about down the collegiate.
So let's pull up the Colorado Trail here. So people can see. If I can find my freaking cursor. I even have my glasses on. So
the reason they call it the cursor.
Oh man,
dad jokes all day.
Dude, you've been on it all day with the dad jokes. All right,
it's like my life, man. It's not all day.
I'm gonna just pull up the Colorado Trail map, and I'll share my screen for the people listening or watching.
Yeah, so right there in the middle, you got a huge loop.
So, almost. I can't see my cursor. Why aren't you clicking? Oh, that's why.
You're up there.
No. No, it's because OBS has decided that it doesn't want to. Hold on. Oh, no. I'm trying to pull up my screen here so you guys can see the Colorado Trail. But OBS does not want to do that. Anyway, the Colorado Trail splits while I try and pull this up. It splits, so it starts in Denver. It goes to Durango. Do you know the total? It's like what, 500 miles?
It's
487.
Yeah, it's just under 5.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Yeah.
There we go. That's what I needed to do. See how that works? Okay.
It's the same trail for 200 some miles as the Continental Divide as well.
Now, and that's right around. So the area we're talking about, so you guys can see. So this little split right here is what Scott's referring to. So it starts in Denver here, weaves its way to Durango here, 400 to 500 miles. There is this collegiate wilderness split, and I've heard one of the ways is better than the other way. Do you know that?
I mean, I'm sure many people have that opinion. I'm not sure which.
Okay, I don't remember which way it is. Okay. I want to say west.
Okay,
but I've heard one of the ways is better. Okay. Back to what you were saying though, is doing this loop, which is something you talked about. That's
massive.
That's what. That's like what's like 100 miles.
I would think it's probably, which makes it probably 150, 200 mile loop.
Scott, we can't do that in 4 days.
If we had 2 weeks, that's something we'd consider, but not.
Okay, so
wait, so you can't do that in front of us?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
correct. Not in the
correct.
shape. Not in the shape I'm currently in. Could I possibly consider doing that?
But that's what you're saying is if you had a couple weeks, and could you nail some 14ers on this little loop?
Yeah. So the cool thing about right down in there is there's a number of 14ers that aren't on the trail, but they're adjacent to. And so one of the big things that I wanted to ask you guys before we get super deep into certain areas was, what sort of trip do you guys want and what ratio? So I'm going to describe 2 extremes.
Okay.
And both extremes are options.
Okay.
But hybrid is also an option.
Okay.
But then where on that scale?
Okay.
So
I like this.
One extreme is no 14ers, no climbing, nothing like that. It's linear in mileage.
Okay.
Okay. The other extreme is we're just out to peak bag. And when you're peak bagging, mileage goes out the window. It's
all
all about
right?
vertical feet. So you're talking about, well, this is 4,000 up and 4,000 in a day, so you're talking about your vertical, because your mileage is pretty compressed typically, but it's all about your vertical ascents.
Okay. I don't want to do just sole peak bagging.
That's why but I've never done a 14er. So I like the hybrid is speaking to me.
And so in that option, if we were peak bagging, what we would do is you'd be backpacking in to a central camping location, right? Let's say you'd couple miles in, however many miles we need to get into a central location, of which there are maybe 3 or 4 13 or 1,014-foot peaks surrounding us. We would drop tents, we'd camp, we could bring more comfortable stuff because you're not carrying all that stuff. But then you have a peak bag where you're just taking up a couple layers, snacks, water, emergency stuff, and you climb that mountain one day and you camp out. You climb that mountain, maybe you connect it on a saddle, then you're back down. And you can really have a lot of fun doing these trips that aren't about linear miles backpacking, but you're bagging a few peaks in one central camping location in a few days.
Well, see, that does sound pretty cool.
So let me propose a hybrid of the hybrid.
Yes.
Could we do something where we do that, but in like 2 different locations? Not bagging 4 peaks, but I mean backpack, camp, peak bag. Backpack, camp, peak bag, done.
So there's a few places that we might be able to do something similar.
Is that feasible in 4 days?
Well, if we're talking about transporting in cars and driving to different trailheads and in and out, because when you're talking about peak bagging, it's about the approach and the descent, so there's a thing, but like the approach is typically getting up to base camp. So we'd be trekking in, setting up a base camp, bagging a few peaks, packing up, trekking out. There's a few places very close to this loop area, actually, where we can probably do a bit of a linear trail. We can either drop a car off or be dropped off and picked up on both sides and decide whether we want 1 or 2 or even 3 peaks off the trail.
Love it. What kind of linear trail distance would we be doing here? Let's say we wanted to do 2 14ers.
2 14ers. Okay, so
we're there for 4 days. So hike in. I don't know. Camp a little. I don't know if you could do 2 in 4 days. Though.
I actually creted an itinerary.
Oh, by the way,
Matt Hippies, shout out.
Yeah, we were talking about you all before this podcast. So Matt Hippie's Life, excellent resource.
They live out there, don't they?
Yeah. San Luis Peak Loop using Stewart Creek Trail and Colorado Trail, bag 14er, San Luis Peak on the way.
Look at that.
San Luis, that could be cool.
What do you got? Thank you for the information, everybody, by the way.
Yeah, so the really cool thing, and I will say this, like 14ers has become a thing. This Gary Roach guide, Colorado's 14ers.
Peak bagging in general has become a thing.
It has.
And do you do the Summit beer thing? You drink it out of your shoe? That's what everybody does on Instagram.
Out of the shoe?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
That is pretty gross.
I don't know.
I mean, I have, I rolled up Princeton last summer with my buddy, and we brought some Endeavor beers, some delicious Endeavor beers.
We're going to drink so much Endeavor beer on this trip, and this 97%
whiskey and
alcohol.
Whatever we want to do. So we got to the top, and there was like one other group of people that came up just a little bit after us, and we're like, hey, if you Instagram it, I'll give you this beer.
Nice.
And this girl got on her knee and chugged this beer on Instagram.
Nice.
To, whatever, and just hanging out with people on top of the peak. But what I will say is that, on a weekend, a lot of these 14ers are packed with people.
Yeah.
Great consideration.
Yeah. And that's one problem that's really taken, 20 years ago when I was in school out in Colorado, like, unless you were in the very front range ones, you could get some pretty good solitude even on weekends.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's pretty ridiculous.
So, I didn't think about this as a trip planning consideration, but it totally is. So how does that change? Because I know the general time construct we have discussed covers a weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, that kind of is more on your guys' schedule.
I know.
Depending on that, like the preference to me is always to go during the week. Go when other people are not out there. If you can be first and early, the advantage of being on the trail already, though, is because we might be camping where other people have to hike 3, 4, 5 miles to get to that point.
Yeah, we can get up.
We can get up and down back on the trail.
Okay.
So that's an advantage. And then 2, if we're out there on a Tuesday or a Thursday,
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter nearly as much. If you're trying to go up on a Saturday, you might be coming down and there's just people
Tons
coming
of
up past you
people.
and stuff. Yeah.
Is there a way we can pick one that's like that's still cool, but not like super popular?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on where you go in the state too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The closer you are to Denver.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So what do you got on your computer?
So one idea that I had was if you're gonna go big, go big.
Okay.
And
Like
the
it.
2 tallest peaks in the Rocky Mountains are not that difficult to walk up. It's Mount Elbert and Mount Massive. They're right outside of Leadville, Colorado.
All right, we're gonna Google map this so everybody.
Do you think it's smart to just fly from Ohio into Denver and then start bagging 14ers immediately with elevation?
Well,
Wait, what
we're
was it?
gonna-
Mount Elbert.
Mount Elbert and Massive, yeah. So if you go Leadville, I can show you
Okay.
where that is
Okay.
too.
All right. So, where is?
Yeah, there's Elbert and
All
Massive
right,
are
here's,
right there.
Here's Leadville.
There's
Okay. Okay. And then I know the Colorado Trail goes.
So
through
that
here,
lake that's just to the west of Leadville,
right here
on the
seen
west
that.
end of Turquoise Lake there's a trailhead.
Yeah, we have pictures at that
A
lake.
Colorado trailhead.
That is
There's-
Colorado Trail.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so Colorado Trail is right, you see it there?
Right. Oh, right here.
Yeah, I believe that's Colorado Trail.
Yep. Okay. All right. So that
Perfect.
it's right there. Okay.
So that's an easy access point for the Colorado Trail. So, for example, should we be dropped off there? We can go see if Melanzano's
I
open.
was saying we could score some Ellie's.
Go some Nellies, eat at the Silver Dollar Saloon, which is where Doc Holliday got shot, or I don't know, whatever it is.
we didn't go there. though, when
Levels
we
are
were in
crazy.
Leadville,
It's a
yeah.
cool,
we
funky
went to
little
a
town.
breakfast diner.
Yeah, it
Nice.
was actually really good.
Yeah, if stuff's open. I mean, Colorado's a lot more shut down.
Correct.
Even than Ohio is. So
But we're on Team Moderna. We're looking doorknobs.
Can't I just have my vaccine card and say, "Come on, guys"?
yeah. So we'll see what it's like out there. Later.
I like where this is going, though.
Yeah, so if we go from Turquoise Lake and we walk south 9.5 miles.
So you're saying let's say the trailhead is Turquoise Lake.
Yep.
And we go south. What was you say, Mount Massive or Mount?
Yeah, so Mount Massive, and if you kind of zoom in there, I don't know if you got trail. Okay, so see this trail that's coming off from
Yeah.
So Massive is
there.
actually a triple peak that's right there.
Oh, I see
There's
it.
3 different peaks, and
Okay.
I believe it's the center one that's the tallest. We can take it, and down where this junction of the trail comes here to the east,
I'm
it
sure
meets up with the Colorado
Right
Trail.
here. Right here.
Exactly.
Okay, so
So
we
you
could.
camp at the.
We can camp down somewhere near the intersection
here.
of trails.
There's
There's a creek
water.
down there, so there
Yeah.
should be water. And we can, and now, so here's where it gets fun, because we can loop this trail if we want to, but that means we're carrying our entire loads up over top of this 14er.
I see what you mean.
Or do we drop weight, create a longer trail, go up top, and come back down?
So how far from the lake to this junction point? Do you know what that is off the top
It's
of your head?
not a lot of miles, but
Set
I
a
would
scale
think you're
here.
going from 11,000 to 14,400.
Oh wow.
So you're 3.5, 3 plus.
So in theory, like let's say we drove and we got dropped off here,
Yep.
and like in the morning.
Yeah.
Is it feasible to get from here,
You could do 9
It's
miles.
pretty flat, 9 miles.
like 9 miles to here or to the top?
No. What we would do is, so first night in, we're going to spend the night in Evergreen, which is 7,000
Right.
feet. So you get a night of
Right.
acclimatization,
Just
you're
one night.
hiking, or 2, whatever you guys
No,
want.
Andy, true
Yeah.
story. Andy and I generally handle elevation
Cool.
fine.
And you never know, and we can talk a little bit about that as well.
That's another
Yeah.
consideration.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't
Yeah,
think about
in
that.
elevation and I've got a little experience with dealing with some
Just
of
a
those things too. So, we can talk about that in considerations.
Yeah.
And that's something that you always have to be ready to call an audible. So even if you have this perfect trip planned, have a backup.
Yeah.
So we talked about actually planning 2 or 3 different
Right,
trips
correct.
in order of preference, because wildfires
Yep.
happen.
Yep.
And when we're going to be out there, if there's a big forest fire here, we're
Right,
not
we
going
can't
here.
go there.
We're going somewhere else. And we've
Yeah.
got to
Okay.
pick somewhere that's at least 100 miles away or
Right.
whatever that might be,
I like where this trip is going so
So
far.
the cool thing is, off the back of Massive, there's a short trail that comes down a scree slope. And it's not even on this map,
So
but it's in this book. And
All
I've
right.
done this trail. So
when you say a scree slope,
Over rocks.
like it's not a
small,
trail,
like,
right?
no, it's a trail. You can find it. There's cairns, and you can pick your way down it. So
Okay.
not by those lakes, but a little farther down.
Like down here.
Yeah, so there's a Half Moon Yeah, so the Half Moon Creek
This-
kind of thing.
Yep.
And there's like a 4x4 trail that goes back to there. And then once you cross that creek, it gets crazy.
So you've done this?
Not for a long time,
Okay.
but yes.
Okay.
So I've got a little bit of
Okay.
beta or knowledge of
Okay.
the area. But what we could do is we could basically, first night in,
Oh, Andy's got it. Okay.
There we
hold
go.
on. Okay, wait, Andy, what'd you Google?
Mount Massive.
Yeah.
And then hit images, and then
Okay.
hold on.
Wait, this is a good picture you
No,
brought
no,
up.
hold on. No. Click back. Go back.
Oh, I want to wait. Go back. Oh, okay. Okay.
Click that.
Yeah.
Then click this.
Okay.
And then click that.
Okay.
And then there's your.
Okay.
which
so
is
map-
this 14ers.com or what's your website here?
I can't even read that.
So 14ers.com is an amazing.
G
Huh.
J.
So okay.
Another amazing resource is 14ers.com. If you're
I've seen
specifically,
that one.
and you can register for free login where you can get map access, and then
Oh,
it
this
gives
is
you
gorgeous.
photographs. Oh, this whole area it's beautiful. It's not the most beautiful part of the
Oh,
city, but
I
it's gorgeous.
see I see what's happening here. Okay.
So
Okay.
and the nice thing about this is it's a
Yeah, it's
class 2 trail.
Is this what you mean by scree?
So the larger boulders there are just boulders, or so talus is kind of think like bigger rocks,
Like
the size of
this?
a person or a dog, things like that. Scree is like softball-y, baseball-y size stuff that you can kind of ski down.
Sort of.
Scree
bird.
skiing is a thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but that's like, I mean, what you're showing there is just like the ridge going up to the summit. And see what I'm saying? There's a triple
yep,
summit
yep.
on Mount Massive.
Okay.
So Mount Massive is the largest because the whole summit mass is the largest peak.
Okay.
Because there's 3 things in the saddle, so there's not enough elevation change between the 3 points to classify them as separate mountains.
I see. Okay.
So the center one, I believe, is the tallest, but then there's North Mount Massive and South Massive.
Okay. We're back to Google Maps. All right.
That
Okay,
looks
so-
pretty awesome.
So this looks awesome. All right. So we would, in theory, park at this lake, hike in, and
Ideally, be dropped off at the lake.
correct. Okay. And then, so then
Hike in 9.5 miles, camp out.
And sorry, is the 9.5 to here?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
to where it splits. So
Okay.
the trail up Massive splits from the Colorado
And
Trail.
there's a water source right there.
There's a water source right there, so we would find, and there's woods and forest and all down
Okay.
in that area. So just quick research seems like we'll be able to find something in that area
I
to
bet.
comfortably camp for 3 people.
I bet a lot of people use that as like a kickoff point there.
I would think so.
So I like that. So and to cover 9 miles, we probably need to get dropped off like not late in the day, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's 5 hours of walking,
Right.
you know.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So you're right. It wouldn't be that. Right?
Summer's out there.
You
It doesn't get dark till 9
That's
o'clock.
right. You get
know?
dropped off
Yeah.
like noon. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So day 1, come in, get dropped off here, hike 9 miles, camp out here. All right. Morning of day 2. What are we doing?
Yeah,
What's for
so
breakfast?
morning of day 2, something substantial. So now
Biscuits and gravy.
we could do this 2 ways. We could either leave camp, leave most of our stuff down low, go up and tag it,
Okay.
and come back down. But
What's-
that's a longer distance,
Correct.
but less effort because we're carrying.
What
less
is
stuff.
the mileage going up there? And I should say, if you're listening to this podcast, as a lot of people are, go watch it on YouTube because
Yeah.
we are sharing my screen right now, and you can see everything that we're talking about.
Or
Sorry, I had to
Google
plug
it
that.
on the line
Or Google it on the line.
Yeah.
All right, so
Follow on.
what is kind of a ballpark distance from this
So-
creek to the top of Mount Massive?
that? It's not.
It's not as far as from the lake. Oh yeah, it's really not that far.
Yeah, it's not that far. I would say it's probably.
Oh, I got it right.
3.
I got it right here.
I bet
3.5,
I bet Google
give or
can
take.
do it.
It's on all trails.
Perfect.
Mount Massive Trail is.
I got it. Hold on, I got 3 destinations in here.
So what's that?
Nope.
It's
nope,
6.5
I'm an idiot.
miles, but I think that's there and
That's
back.
from the trail. That's from
No,
the
I-
lower
yeah,
trailhead
no,
down
no,
there.
no,
I bet. though, right?
I don't want from Mount.
Oh, from Mount Elbert.
No, yeah.
So most of the distances. So for example, if we look it up in here for the south or southeast slopes, it's going to go from the main trailhead down there.
yeah, huh.
We're already several miles up on the Colorado Trail. which is
yeah.
where we
I
start.
think it'll go from here though. Okay. So okay, there we
Yeah,
go.
there you
That
go.
distance is
3.5?
3.7 miles.
Okay, I said
Yeah.
3.5 as a guess.
That's pretty
so
good
not
there,
bad.
Scott. And usually this will give me. Oh, you can't see this on the screen. Usually, it'll give me the elevation trace. Oh, mostly flat. Well, that's not flat. That's what does that say?
It's a steady gain.
Is that 3,500? I can't read that.
3,356.
So 3,500 over. So 1,000 feet a mile. That's not flat.
No, it's consistently straight up.
Yeah, it's consistently.
But
Okay.
that's so it's 1,000
So
feet a mile.
it's entirely feasible for us to bag this in one day.
Oh,
For
yeah.
sure.
Oh,
Okay.
for sure. So the question becomes, do we want to go up and come back down the same side? Now, an interesting thing to do
I like
would
that
be
because it's
to,
a lot lighter.
it's a lot lighter and easier, yeah. And so, we could leave camp effectively.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And take light summit packs, go up,
Yeah.
then come back down, pack up, and go to the next area down here.
This one.
Now, the other thing we can do is go down the backside, down, so off kind of at the bow, the crook. It comes down here, not where those lakes are,
Yeah, down here.
but down where it meets the road. And there's some cool camping down there.
Okay.
And then we would literally walk that. It's a 4-wheel drive dirt road back a mile
Like this?
to 2. Yeah, we would walk. So we'd camp down around where that trailhead,
Yeah.
right before it crosses the creek.
Right
For
there.
that whole stretch right in there,
Okay.
that's a really good camping down there.
Okay.
And we could even drop stuff there if we wanted to.
So I like this idea because
Yeah.
honestly, hiking up 3.7 miles with a full pack, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's
we say
if
that
we have
now.
light packs, it's not.
We're going to
bad.
have light packs.
And the other
gonna
thing
have
is like
packs.
these are things that if we have a few options, we can make that decision
Correct.
the day or morning of.
Okay.
That's a good
See how
point.
we're feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we have 2 options here. Both get us to the same point. One is, do you want to see different terrain?
I
Do you want
see
to
what
make it
you mean.
straight? Do you want
I
to make
see
it a
what you
loop?
mean.
You know what I mean?
So
Like,
basically, you're saying we could either hike up and back and then come back this way, or hike up and down this way.
exactly. And then we could camp
I see.
anywhere along this road. There's multiple campsites, and there's
Along
a creek
here.
that follows the whole way. So there's good water. I've soaked beers in that creek, and they're awesome to drink out
North
of because it's
Half Moon
ice
Creek.
cold.
Wait, and
Okay.
so
Yeah.
that's like a dirt Jeep road.
Yeah, pretty much. Once it crosses that creek right there in the middle, it's a hardcore off-road. So you have to have like a water fording ability 4x4 to get across that thing.
Oh, like this.
But it's not that bad. You can get back there in your Subaru.
okay.
It's a little rough, but not too bad.
I always forget how good satellite maps is for this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Okay, so here we go. So I like this idea of I
And
like
you can
the
actually
idea-
see the trail if you go right in and down south toward like the Shepherd's Hook. See that little coming down right
what,
there?
this.
Yeah, that
That?
part. I think
That's not a trail,
No,
Scott.
maybe that's not right. Okay.
I mean, that kind
that
of looks
was.
like a trail.
Oh,
yeah,
there,
that's
there.
right there. Yeah. So that zigzag coming right down.
Oh,
there.
okay. That's not on this, is it? No.
It's not on that, but it's in this. And it's
Okay.
on 14ers.
I like
so
this idea.
I like this idea.
Yeah,
Okay,
cool.
so let's just recap where we are. So day 1, we hike in 9 miles to this junction point. Day 2, we hike up to Mount Massive, and we hike down to this North Half Moon
So
Creek.
what are we looking at mileage that day? Like probably like 7 to 10.
So it's 3.7 up. What do you think it is to here? Probably 4.
It's slightly shorter. It's probably 3 to 4. Yeah. It also
There's no
depends.
trails for me to Google map it.
It also depends where we wanted to camp. So the cool thing is, depending on how we feel, we can go all the way over to make the next day lighter,
Right.
Or we can stop there. You know what I mean? Like there's different options.
Is there now? The question is, like, once we hit this area, is there good camping like along the whole way?
Pretty much?
Because basically, you just see how you feel. And I'm assuming after 6 miles, we're probably going to feel okay to keep going.
Now going up and down a 14er like
true,
is going
I
to take
say
more
that.
out of you than 6 miles.
That's true.
So think about like just even if you're doing a 14er that's like a 6 mile round trip, but
That's
you're
a whole
doing
day.
3,000 to 4,000 feet, it's going to be 8 hours and it's going to take it out of you.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
going to
so
feel
let's-
like you just did 14 miles.
Let's be conservative and say once we get down here, we're
Yeah.
done.
Or maybe we make a good meal, we hike 2 miles and then we set up camp. Or, you know,
Okay,
whatever.
okay.
I mean, that's the sort of thing
Okay.
we can kind of discuss when we get there. Or we can go back to where we came from, but then you're backtracking.
No,
I like
like
this
this
i-
idea.
yeah.
I like
Just a
this
big loop.
idea.
But that also means that's going to influence how we pack because we're going to want to be light.
Correct. I'm
Yes.
planning, and we have not gotten to the packing part
Yeah.
of this.
And I firmly believe pack for the trip you're taking. So don't pack before you leave.
Yeah.
Get everything and then pack based on what you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
You know?
I am for these like 4-day, 3 nights, I can pack, and especially because I'll be tenting for this. Most likely, I'm assuming trees might. Well, I don't know. I'll be super light. I mean, with the camera gear,
Yeah.
I'll probably be, and I'm taking the drone.
Are you seriously taking the drone? Oh
Hell
my
yeah.
God.
Hell yeah.
That's amazing.
You haven't seen my new drone.
Not your
It is.
You showed me the drone. Do you have a new drone?
Did I text you a picture of it in my hand?
I don't know.
It's like this big.
What?
It's so small. Shoots 4K. You're gonna want one. Anyway, I think my base weight with all the camera gear and the
Yeah.
drone at max will be 13 or 14 pounds.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah. And yours will be similar, if not less.
Yeah, mine will probably be like 10, 11.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And we can share some video resources too, potentially. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those sort of things. That
Your base weight's super light.
I'm pretty. Yeah, I'll be pretty light before AV equipment and.
Yeah, you do take,
You know,
you take more heavy equipment than me, probably.
Well, I had 3 pounds on my last trip, and that was like multiple things.
That honestly,
GoPro
for
and
the
then,
for the drone and the camera and the batteries, it might be 3 pounds for me
Yeah.
too.
So we touched on something. What tents versus hammocks? I want to take a hammock, but
You know, I'm not. The thing about Colorado is
let's use Google Maps, Andy.
you can sometimes use a hammock comfortably, and sometimes you're SOL.
So okay,
That looks
first
great.
night
Yeah.
you're gonna be fine.
You're gonna be fine.
So second night,
You'd be fine down on the other side. I've never camped on this side.
you've never camped up
On
here.
that side, yeah.
Here,
But I've
okay.
camped down behind us because a really cool day hike is actually, if you're camping down here and you're doing the backside of Massive,
Down here,
is those lakes that are up
these
there.
ones.
Those are a really fun little adventure day hike. You can actually get all the way up to that top one.
You ain't hammocking up here.
Not up there, but down
But,
lower.
okay, so if we come down here,
See that whole trail, there's trees.
so we're talking about camping. So okay, you're good for a hammock for nights 1 and 2 at least.
Yeah.
All right, so let's say we do this. Let's say we come down the backside of Mount Massive.
Mhm.
So we're gonna start day 3 waking up along this creek.
Somewhere along that road. And so this is where it gets real.
Yeah,
We're not
I
real?
thought it was
This is-
already real.
this is fake.
yeah.
So back-to-back 14ers are actually on the menu here.
Oh man.
And
No, I like it.
but here's the thing. With either of these, we can call audibles.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So let's pretend like, crap, we get in first night, wake up in the morning, and shit, I've got a headache. Like, my head's pounding.
Right.
Like, not a good idea for me to go up there.
Right.
We just walk down the trail.
Okay.
We don't have to go up there. But Elbert, which is the tallest mountain in the Rockies, NASA being the
Oh.
second,
when you say
is
that,
just to the south
Now
of
we
us.
have
hold
to.
on. Let's
Yeah.
let's get back to our maps.
And
here.
so if you go down to that trailhead with the road intersects with the Colorado Trail, so that half moon.
I gotta find my cursor, Scott.
Gonna need a lot of calories for this.
Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so where is it's called Mount Ebert? It's right there. See
Elbert,
it?
yeah.
Got it. Boom.
So that's that. And now see the main trail coming here, but then
Yep.
there's another trail going down there. Both of those intersect with the Colorado Trail.
Wait. So we're gonna be camping up in here.
Somewhere along that road, all the way
Yep.
over to and even including the trailheads.
Oh, I see. So is the access point for this 14er here?
Yeah, and that's actually, if you notice, right next to each other are the Massive and Elbert trailheads.
I see. So I just want to get
Oh.
I want to get a brief feel for how far you probably know how far it is
Up,
from the trailhead to Mount Elbert.
Is this Albert?
Elbert.
so from the Half Moon trailhead.
I got okay. Wait, where's the? So we would be getting on at the Half Moon trailhead. Oh, I see. Wait, right here.
Yeah,
I've got it. See,
So, but if you go all the way over to the Elbert trailhead, so I think from
which is where I
it's
am.
probably
right
about
here. See if you can guess. It's on the screen.
4.5 to 5 miles.
4.7. He's
Okay.
right in the middle.
Yeah.
Uncanny.
Wow.
Oh, Andy's got it pulled up. Hold on. Let's look at what it looks
All right.
like.
It looks awesome. Hold on. Like
And so Elbert is again, it's like a class 2 trail. So it's not really, there's no climbing on these routes. So if
Right.
we're coming down the backside Massive, there's a little bit, you might use your hand on some rocks as you're going past them,
Yeah.
stabilization, but there's nothing
This,
technical.
this kind of stuff. Oh, God,
Yeah.
like this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I like that.
there's a dog up there.
Yeah,
okay.
you can be that dog.
So now the question, and I think you were getting to it, is do we go all the way to this trailhead access to get up here, or is there a way to get to it from up here
No, we would go all the way down to that trail. So as far down
as we could
the
get?
day before as we can
Okay.
get, the better it will make the
Okay.
next day.
Okay, so I am definitely liking. God, that's 4,000 feet in 4 miles. All these are going to be
Again.
ass kickers.
Again, yeah. And so if we decide to do massive the first day and we're
Just
spent,
ass kicked. Okay.
then we don't bother. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And
or
then
if the weather, you know, if we
yeah,
have weather variables.
Yeah.
or you could skip massive
Massive.
the first and then come down and then get on the Albert Trailhead.
Precisely.
Okay.
I like the
yeah, I like the flexibility.
That's a good thing about planning is like there is some flexibility. Okay, so let's say for the purposes of this podcast, we're just hard assing it up.
All right.
So the beginning of day 3, we're starting on this.
We're starting
track. Let's
somewhere preferably close
Yeah,
to the
let's say
Albert Trailhead.
let's say we basically
by
get
those
like
little tarns right there.
let's say we get like super close to it.
Yeah.
So and this is going to take us so how long? I mean, what? Okay, so day 3, are we going straight up this?
Yeah, we would go up that and then down that trail to the east slope.
Right here,
Yep, and that meets up with the Colorado Trail
down
farther
here,
down.
and then
And then south from there.
and then camp. So do you think we could get all the way up this and down in one day and camp?
Yeah, we would have to. So once you start
Yeah,
going,
that's true. We don't have a choice.
once you start going up, you don't start going, or you don't.
That's true. You can't camp up there.
Now, remember too, like point of safety in Colorado in the summers especially, and when we're talking July, August,
you get like those thunderstorms, right?
exactly, and you never know. There's weird weeks where it gets socked in and there's just rain and it's cloudy and covery,
Yeah.
but the average summer afternoon is such that it's beautiful, bright, and clear, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a big ass thunder and lightning storm rolls in, dumps rain for 45
Yeah.
minutes, thunder, lightning. You want to be nowhere near the top of the summits. The general rule is by noon you should be heading down.
So we need to get up
Oh
early.
shit!
Yeah. So
We got to bust ass the day before.
so get up with light.
I mean,
you
we
get
got to
up
be as
there.
close to this trailhead as possible.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that, especially if this is falling on a weekend, this being the tallest peak
Oh, it's
in the
gonna be
14.
slammed.
Yeah, then it could be
Okay.
busy-ish
Now,
that we want to get up before those people.
I think there is potentially. I don't know about your schedule. There might be some flexibility to push this so it's same amount of days, but not as much of on a weekend.
We'll have to
I don't
check.
know. I don't know.
Check into it. We'll see.
The way we have this currently talked out, we're going to be doing this on a weekend.
All right. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. The first one would be on a Thursday or Friday. This would be on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So we'd want to get up there. Okay. All right. So let's say we do that. Let's say on day 2 we make it pretty far along here
Yep.
to where we just get up and go on day 3. We get up here and then we get down
We're down.
here. This is the
And-
CT, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
And then wherever we want to, we can camp.
Camp around here.
Soon,
I bet that
even-
looks amazing there. with all
Let's
those
It's
check it
lakes.
probably
out.
just gorgeous little lakes and ponds,
Oh,
trees,
yeah.
everything. Again, creek, water, you know.
Love it. And then day 4 you wake up and just
And you walk out.
Hike
And if you
out.
hike out
down
down to
here.
the south, there's
Oh,
this
it's right there.
whole, yeah, we can just arrange to meet, or we drop a car here and get dropped off.
okay.
So we walk back to the car.
So what's interesting is we've talked through this whole thing. I have no concept of total mileage.
So
Probably like
total-
20.
I mean, 4.7 here. So it's 9 from the start, and then it was 3.5 up.
if we did that route, it'd be almost 30 miles
Oh shit!
total
With 2 14ers.
with 2 14ers in there over 4 days.
Well, the good news is that there's plenty of room for audibles.
So
yeah, and the really cool thing is that because it's so close at the end right there, if weather's bad, we can go and camp and pop up the next day if we wanted to,
Yeah.
or take a rest. You know, take a short one, do a little day hike. There's a lot of options.
if you only
trail.
had to do one of these 14ers, which one would you do?
I mean, Massive is a cooler peak,
So massive.
but Elbert is the tallest in the Rocky
Well, I
Mountains.
don't
so it kinda
care. I
depends
don't
on what you're
necessarily
going
care
for.
about
I'd
that.
rather go for cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking is, in 3 nights, 4 days, doing 2 14ers
Yeah.
and 30
And
miles.
flying in
that,
from Ohio.
That is aggressive. But
Yeah.
I like it. I like planning it. So let's
Especially with full pack weight. Like that's
say let's say
That's
on day 3 we wake up and I'm just like, Scott, there's no way.
yeah. And then we just walk on down.
I mean, because we could keep going on once again. Is there like an option on Windows where you can have the cursor? Oh, there it is. Like, okay, let's say, okay, we're like, Scott, day 3, we wake up, we're like, dude, it's not happening. I'm assuming, what can we do? Could we just hike? Is there a way to get back, or do you have to go up like here, or can you just skip this and get, oh no.
Well, it depends on if we've left a car or if we're getting a pickup.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
like, is there a way to get down to this pickup and just not do the 14er so it wouldn't impact that?
yeah, so the Colorado Trail just bypasses
Oh,
over completely. So it
I
connects the
see.
trailhead to the point where we'd be coming down. So we could just,
Oh,
and that's true of
that's a
both
CDT.
of these. Yeah. It's both the CDT and the Colorado Trail.
Okay, so we can totally on the day of, if we have
Make
a
that
car
choice.
dropped off down here
Yep.
in Twin Lakes,
Yeah.
we can totally make that choice the day of.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I just want to shout
There's
out.
a lot of people in the comments.
No,
talking
I just want to.
okay, yeah.
I want to shout out the chat. I'm paying attention to it. I'm just not responding, but everybody's giving a lot of people are giving some great advice.
If you're looking to plan
Yeah.
a Colorado trip, this is the podcast for you. Go read these comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff we're getting?
So Greg Morton Outdoors, I appreciate all the comments. He's recommending do Elbert. And then he also said you can resupply at Twin Lakes if you need to. There's general store, and he recommended using a tent.
Okay, this Twin Lakes looks cool. This is huge.
Let me see. There's some other good stuff in here.
Oh my. So how far from Leadville? This must be just down the road.
It's not
right?
that far,
Yeah,
yeah.
I see. Okay, here's Leadville. Okay. And then I should know this because I've been to Leadville, but how far is the drive from where we'll be staying? It's what, like 3 hours probably?
Not even.
Not
that.
even.
Oh,
Okay,
here's an
like 2
interesting
hours.
comment. Rocky Top Wrangler says, call ahead on hammocks. Some forest areas now do not allow hammocks. Excessive
Because of tree damage? Yeah.
Mhm.
I've
Yeah.
seen that before.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So
I'll be all alone in my tarp. You know.
I forgot Scott made his own gear.
Yeah.
So all right. All right. What else you got? So
So-
let's say we got this trip in
I'm
the
liking this
bag.
little loop because you're getting.
No, this is really good.
Yeah.
And I like the idea. I like we don't have to decide if we need to do 2 of these. We could literally decide on the morning of day 3.
I have a feeling it's going to be one of those things where it's just going to kick our butts. Like,
I have a feeling we're gonna wake up at day 3 and be like, "There's no way."
But you
But
know,
having the option.
sometimes on those days you're like, oh, there's no way, and then you just start doing it,
yeah.
and you
Yeah.
just do it. And it's
Yep.
about just keep putting one foot in front of
Yeah.
the other. You know.
See, I love it when people say that because it sounds so easy, and then you're out there and you're just
It's
like,
a pain in the ass.
I know. Just put one foot. It's just like all those through hikers, like, oh yeah, you just got to put one foot in the other. It's like, yeah, I know that. Like,
I get the concept of
Yeah.
walking.
Is that how walking
I'm
works?
familiar.
And I know it's really easy because in hindsight and memory, I think that's the great thing about backpacking or climbing or anything of this sort, because when you're in the moment, okay, it can suck. It
Yeah.
can really suck.
Yeah.
But
know?
you are right. Like if you just force yourself to start, then once
Yeah.
you're off, it makes things a little easier.
Super chat.
But it's
Yeah.
always the parts that suck the most in the moment are
Yeah.
the best stories
I
after
know.
that.
No,
The best
I
memories.
I always
you know
say
what I mean?
I always
Yeah.
say back. There's 2 types of fun. There's stuff that's super fun while you're doing it and not really memorable, and then there's stuff that's maybe not super fun while you're doing it but super memorable. And backpacking, this falls into that.
And to me, what I love so much about the mountains and both climbing and especially light ridge routes and fun stuff like that is it's fun and challenging.
Yeah.
And so it kind of sucks, but it's really fun in the same time in the moment, but then also in hindsight.
Yeah.
So it's really that kind of bridge of 2 worlds smashed all into one.
We're gonna get some sick drone shots.
Uh,
coming up.
I want to call out a super chat.
Oh,
real
we got a
quick.
super chat.
Yeah, this is from Jot. He said, missed the live broadcast of Kyle's show. Want to know the status of the chair purchase. Please add this to the chair.
We're
fund."
still collecting funds.
Yeah.
I don't know how super chat payouts work. I think you have to get $100 before they actually give you the money. We do not have $100. Once we do, Kyle's getting a chair.
Yep.
We'll fill you in on that story.
And
are you,
I saw. Yeah.
Are you going to be bringing a backpacking chair on this?
If we're going up over 214ers, then
No,
no.
there's
I'm gonna be bringing a camp chair. If we were like, yeah, we're gonna not do that, and or set up. If we were going to go to a basin, set up if we were doing the Chicago basin, which we talked about, down where you take the train and you hike in 6 miles,
Yeah.
set up a camp. Hell yeah.
Okay.
I'm bringing a chair, and we're bringing, you know what I mean, and then we're day
Yeah.
peak bagging,
yeah.
100% bring a chair.
I want to discuss that. I mean, I want to plan more than just this trip on this
Sure.
podcast.
Sure.
Hold on a second. So Greg Morton Outdoors says you guys will be blowing snot bubbles on your video of this trip, but it'll be rewarding.
Hey, I like the idea of having the ability to do only one and it not impacting the trip really whatsoever.
Yeah.
All right. So this is one trip,
Yeah.
and I'm liking it. What else we got?
So we mentioned the Chicago basin,
Yeah.
which
Let's
would
go
be
there.
Talk
which
about
would
that.
be
Let's go
really
there.
cool. I didn't do as much like
No, it's fine.
spreadsheety groundwork on
No.
that one, but that's
Okay.
pretty well in
So-
14ers.com. Get Roach's book
So
here.
this is deep. This is way
Yeah.
further into Colorado.
So to get to here, you effectively take a train from Durango. So this old like
Wait, you have to go to Durango
and then,
first?
and then take a
and
train.
take a train, and then you book your train, and you tell them you're getting off at this station, and then you hike in from that. They literally
this
stop the
sounds-
train,
This sounds pretty cool too.
let you off, and then you hike into this basin.
Do you know the name of the train at all?
It's in.
I can
it's
just.
an
I
easy
bet I can
search.
Google it.
Oh, look, here's a picture of taking the train to Chicago Basin.
I want to see what it looks like.
Wow.
I bet this
Oh,
is just
God.
gorgeous.
Look at this.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
this.
these are some of the
Oh,
most
see,
beautiful
this
mountains
sounds cool.
in Colorado. I mean,
Are these the San
this is-
Juans?
San Juans.
San Juans.
Yeah, unbelievable. And there are 3 14ers back up and around.
So I'm gonna just Google
This basin.
image Chicago Basin. So this, oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that is breathtaking. So this
Now, this is a long haul down to Durango.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So it's a much,
Correct.
we're talking a 6-hour
like
drive.
just to get
you know,
there. And then
plus
train,
and
right?
then getting a train time, getting up in there.
Okay.
So we
This
need
is
a
less
little more
feasible.
time.
Okay.
Less feasible, but I've yet to do this, and this is
So
on my
does
bucket
this
list.
speak? So does this speak more to you than the other stuff because you've never done it? Because I'm down for whatever.
I mean, yeah, I I'm cool. I've never done this like we're talking about too. You know, I've climbed Elbert, I've climbed
Okay, but you
Massive, but I
haven't
haven't like
strung
put them together.
Okay.
You know, done stuff like this. So and again, even if you've done it,
Wow.
it's awesome to go back. Like I love going back places where I've been. I also like going new places.
If
So,
you are just listening to this and not watching this, as a lot of you are, Google image search Chicago Basin, and oh my God, it's beautiful.
Wow. That is amazing.
I mean, this is way cooler looking than the other one.
you know, the thing that sucks is like, just
I mean,
the
it's
travel
gorgeous.
time's just going to eat into this.
I know
Yeah.
for a 4-day trip, this
Yeah.
is not super feasible.
um,
Correct.
so Chicago Basin
Okay,
approach,
here we
like
go.
14ers.com does an awesome job because then they have pictures going through.
I'm gonna pull this up.
Yeah,
This is 14ers.com.
14ers.com.
So Chicago Basin.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, here we go. Come on, internet. Oh, this is a trip report.
Okay, yeah.
not
So
what
no,
I
okay,
want.
but if you go, that's the same
Right.
website.
Okay,
So you just
go here.
navigate to it. So go up to the peaks. Just go
Here?
up there. Yeah, and if you pick out like Sunlight, one of the ones that's down there. So Sunlight should be down middle of the.
Right there.
Yep. Click on that.
Lots of good stuff in the chat about the San Juans. Mad
Oh, they're
Hippie's Life
gorgeous.
says San Juans are the crown jewel of the Colorado Trail. So amazing. Greg Morton Outdoors. San
You
Juans
go
are the best
to
part of the CT.
Routes.
Durango,
Yeah.
fantastic
Routes.
town.
I mean,
Here?
the San Juans are arguably the coolest part of a continental
Oh,
divide.
snap.
Yeah.
Hey,
And so this is what I'm talking about. So you've got Eolus and North Eolus, whether they're separate or together is kind of a debate as well. Wyndham and Sunlight are all from this basin. So the train takes you drop off, you hike in, set up camp.
where does the train take you on this map? Can you
I
tell?
think that's
I mean, you don't have to look it up. I'm just curious.
is it the end of the green or is that
I want to guess the
or
end
is
of
that
the
a
green.
trail that goes in there?
I
It'll
can't-
tell
I
you
can't click on
from
anything. What does clicking on this do?
Ron Reed says Chicago Basin is one of the most beautiful areas of the state.
Really appreciating all the Colorado feedback.
Yeah.
Just love living in Ohio.
There's some good tips for hiking 14ers, like make sure you drink booze afterwards.
There's actually a 14ers brewing company in Denver.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So this is sick, but this would be base camp it, right?
And this is kind of what I was talking about. That this is like
that'd be
your
an
peak
amazing
bag.
That'd be
place.
fun.
Yeah, it would be.
This is awesome. There's another really cool one. Now, oh man, that one down in the Sangre de Cristos down near Sand Dunes National Park is kind of a bitch up a 4-wheel drive trail to get to this basin. But there's some cool Little
Look at
Bear
all these
Peak.
peaks.
But yeah, no, there's it's everywhere. I mean, the San Juans.
So is I'm assuming the Chicago Basin is this
that you're in
this area right here,
and then there's again the 3 or 4.
So
Eolus, Wyndham, and Sunlight.
wait, where's Sunlight?
Now, I think that the other thing about these peaks,
Are they like real peaks?
well, there's
Like you're not taking a dog up there.
Might have to
I'm pretty
clip
sure. I'm pretty sure on Sunlight, there's like you have to step over a chasm kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
You know, so for example, so Sunlight is considered a class 4 for the easiest route.
What were the
up
other
it.
ones?
Class
Class 2.
Class 2. Yeah. Are you guys familiar with class systems?
I'm
Not
not.
at all.
Can you please explain?
Yeah, there's actually a great recommendation of class systems.
So this
Gary,
is
Gary Roche's.
did you pimp this book already?
This is the classic of Colorado 14ers. This is Gary Roche's Colorado 14ers book.
Okay.
It's unbelievable. The 14ers.com website is unbelievable. They also have their sister website 13ers.com, which has all 13,000 feet pounds.
Okay.
But think about class 1 through 5. Okay. And 1 is like it's Zaleski. It's just a trail.
Okay.
You're walking with maybe some up and down. That's about it.
So
right?
before you continue, and maybe you might answer this, is class determining the elevation gain, or is it more like the trail you're going on?
It's more like the conditions of the trail.
Okay,
So
okay.
it's not total difficulty.
Okay.
It's more about it's a combination of technicality and exposure.
Oh, so okay.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
All right,
Okay.
Okay.
And so here they risk like difficulty and risk factor. So think about class 1 is just like it's a trail.
Okay.
Like anyone can do
Okay.
this trail. Class 2 is where you start kind of like you get some topography. You're stepping over things.
Okay.
There's obstacles, but you're not really. I like to think about it, you're not using your hands.
Okay.
Okay. Class 3 is where you have to start to use your hands.
We're going to class 4 here.
So you're going over boulders, things, but nothing is technical with class 3,
what is
right?
class
So
4?
class 4 is where it starts getting into
Do we need ropes?
technical problems, but you don't need ropes.
Okay.
Okay,
You
so
don't need ropes.
you don't need ropes.
But how do you
But-
get down?
I'm
Class,
glad you're coming with us.
class 4 can include things like boulder problems. So it's like a small face that you have
Okay.
to like scramble up.
Okay.
It can be like a knife edge ridge that
Okay.
you're like sitting down. You can, and you're holding onto one side as you're going. So it's not like if you were 10 feet off the ground or 3 feet off the ground, you wouldn't
Okay.
think
All right.
anything of it, but you're hugely exposed,
Okay.
So a class 4 is something you have to use your hands. It's technical and there's a risk of fall or injury, but you don't need protection.
I'm
Does
going
that
to
make sense?
Google what a class. Can I see this?
And
Oh,
then think about class 5 is where ropes and gear become pretty much necessary. And that's when you start talking like 5 point whatever for technical climbing. So 5'9",
Okay.
5'8", 5'7", 5'10", 5'10 A, B, C, D, 5'11 A, B, C, D,
what's that?
5'12. Those are all technical rock climbing.
Okay.
This is I've heard these. Okay, so
Yeah.
is this what you're talking about here?
Yeah. So this would be, that
Like,
that
which
looks
one is
Scott,
that?
Is this?
That would be like class 3.
What? Oh, we're doing harder than that?
Or maybe 4, depending on that exposure. It's hard to tell. Photos can make things look different.
Yeah, correct. Okay. I mean that doesn't look not dangerous.
Yeah, you can have some risk and exposure class 2. There's
Okay, like
no
what
real
am
risk
I
or
looking
exposure.
at here?
So that knife edge, yeah, that's clearly class 4, I would think.
So this is like what we'd be doing in this Chicago Basin?
So on Sunlight Peak, and I think the reason it's class
Googling
4
it.
is because you're stepping across like a chasm or something like that.
Sunlight Peak.
And again, I haven't done
No,
these.
I
I've done a
know.
lot of the
Yeah.
14ers in Colorado. I haven't done these 4.
Here's some interesting stuff. Mad Hippie's Life said train drops at Needleton and Elk Park stops between
Oh, here's your
Durango and
chasm.
Silverton.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not doing that. on the top of a 14er.
Yeah, we'll get a sick picture with the drone, dude.
Yeah.
So I guess the point I was trying to make is that this basin would be fantastic, but it might not be your first introduction to 14ers too. So.
Get out of here.
Scott, I can't do that.
Okay.
These people have helmets on.
Scott, I have little chicken arms here.
No, but I like the I mean, clearly this isn't like this isn't like actually dangerous, right?
I mean,
He's hesitating.
if you
Yeah, of course. I mean, how would you say that there's no danger involved with that?
I mean, like, do people routinely die on these peaks?
I mean, every year there are evacuations and accidents that happen on 14ers. In any time in climbing or backpacking, there are accidents that happen to people that know what they're doing. You know, it's like anything else in life. Like, you can't predict lightning, you can't predict flash floods, you can't predict a rock breaking away under your foot or something. You know, there are absolutely accidents that happen, but they're rare. Most of the rescues that exist are people that get way over their heads. They're not prepared.
Okay.
They haven't done the research.
That's not us.
They
That's
don't
not us.
really
We
know
have
what
him.
they're doing.
So
Here's my question: if we were to do this and
they took a golden up there.
if we were to backpack in
Mhm.
Chicago Basin to do this, would we be taking other types of gear? I mean, these people are wearing helmets.
We might want helmets. We'd have to research the rockfall. So a lot of
That
times
guy's
helmets
wearing a helmet.
helmets are
All
about.
wearing helmets.
And the problem is with a lot of the 14ers when you're
I'm
going
just-
up.
This is really
That's photoshopped.
they're really freaking Andy out.
I-
I don't
I-
think that's photoshopped.
I have a fear
No,
of
dude.
heights. I do.
So
Really?
Yeah.
one of my favorite 14ers.
You can see we can hang out with goats.
One of my favorite 14ers is Mount Lindsay down in the Sangre de Cristos, kind of north of New Mexico, down near
Yeah.
St. Grand Dunes or Great Sand Dunes. St. Grand Dunes? I've had a couple beers.
Yeah, it's because it's
and
11% thing.
There's this really cool. So like, there's a gully that goes up, but then you can follow the ridge on top, and it's just the approach. Everything about this peak is just gorgeous. And the ridge is 3 with maybe a couple 4-class moves.
Sorry, what's this called?
It's called Lindsay Peak. It's really, I mean, yeah, pull up some pictures of that. It's really,
So
really pretty cool.
Ron Reed says the summit blocks on sunlight
Is
are
it-
no joke.
Yeah.
Is it this? Mount Lindsay?
Yeah,
That's really that looks like
it's gorgeous. And like you
Everest.
come up this like valley right here, and then you come up this ridge. And so like coming
Like
up like
this?
from this angle, like one of those on the top too that you're seeing.
Like a
That
knife's
one?
edge.
Yeah, and so you can go up follow that ridge line
right up here.
from that south. So you can get up there, or you can go up just to the left and down. There's this gully that
Like up
comes
here?
through. Yeah, and the gully
I
is like
see.
easier, but the problem is with people, they're kicking rocks. And
Mhm.
so if a rock comes down that gully, you're kind of in a bowling alley, with bumpers on the side.
Andy's not doing
Uh,
this.
yeah, okay.
I'm having a
Not
panic
doing
attack
this.
right now.
So this is not what we're going to be doing.
No, but I want to. I think it would. I mean, what
Little
was?
Bear is awesome.
Oh, this is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So that's that gully,
Yep.
and that's the ridge right on top. And there's like a class 4 crux. It's like a little bouldering move, not that big a deal. On
These
that
chicks
ridge.
are doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw a dog going up that.
Check out Little Bear. So Little Bear Peak.
Is it called? Okay.
Comment says from Ron Reed, you definitely want helmets on the Chicago Basin peaks.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little crumbly the rock down there.
The people in the pictures were wearing
Yeah,
helmets.
for sure, for sure.
Okay, this is Little Bear Peak.
Yeah, and so Little Bear, the way you can connect this badass ridge route over to, oh God, what's the
Like
what's
this.
Yeah.
This looks like real mountain climbing.
Yeah, there's
Scott.
so Little Bear is known as one of arguably 2 peaks that have the hardest, easiest approach on them, if that makes sense. So the easiest way to get
Hardest
any mountain, there's 360 degrees of approach to get up that mountain.
Okay.
And like even a mountain where there's a trail, like you can drive your car up Pikes Peak or Mount Evans.
Okay, right.
But if you take a certain ridge on either of those mountains, you can.
Can we drive up to these Chicago Basin peaks?
You can take the train pretty close, but so you can
have
find
ropes.
a hard way to climb up any peak. You
Okay,
know what I mean?
okay,
So
yep.
just like Kilimanjaro is like
Yeah.
easy to trek up, but like Mallory rated like the south face of Kilimanjaro is one of the
Yeah.
top 5 challenges
Yeah.
of mountaineering. So there's crazy things to think about, but. The easiest way up Little Bear is this like class 4 gully.
That
sometimes
dude's
put
got
ropes
ice
That's
screws.
wait the easiest way up.
Easiest
This
way
is
up.
class 4.
on Little Bear. Yeah.
So what's the hardest way up?
I mean, you can do a class 5
Is
technical
wait,
pitch
is
with.
5
And that's
the,
where you're roping up and
is
putting
5
gear in.
the hardest?
Well, remember, so
Oh, and then there's
when you get into technical climbing, there's gradations of
Right,
class 5.
right.
So when you start talking to like easy climbing is 5.6, 5.7, and stuff 5.8 starts getting harder. Once you get into like hard climbing, you're talking about 5.10.
What's
then
the hardest
you start
you've done?
breaking down. So when I used to rock climb more, I would break into some of the 5.11s, but I'm not like a rock guy.
Can I pull up a picture of a 5.11?
Yeah, you're a mountaineer.
Sure,
You're
yeah.
a mountaineer guy.
Like what's a good
Yeah, I'm more of a
thing to image search here? Like just 5.11?
5.11, yeah.
5.11?
That's gonna be
Sure.
tactical gear.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
To put it 5.11B climb.
5
Because
5.11
5.10, starting with 5.10, you
Oops.
have 5.10 climbing.
climbing.
Great, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is like
It's
Alex
actual
Honnold
rock
stuff.
climb. Yeah, for sure. And so, like, you know, when you start talking about like 5.10, there's 5.10 A, B, C, and D. Then there's 5.11 A, B, C, and D. Then there's 5.12
Okay.
A, B, C, and D. So, you know, the nose on El Cap.
Okay.
You know, that 3
Let's-
human beings have ever freed.
Let's stick to like a backpacking trip.
Correct.
Okay.
That's not what we're talking about. here.
What's the highest grade for like a backpacking
And
trip?
so that's where like class 2 is sort of still a backpacking trail.
Okay.
Mhm.
You know, and maybe you get some like 3s when you're kind of
Okay.
like using your hands a
But
little
like
bit to go over
4s in the
stuff.
Chicago
4,
Basin, we're not okay.
Yeah, we're not. I don't think that's, especially for your first
Okay.
14er experience,
Okay.
that's probably not where you want to go.
Okay.
Unless you're like, no, that's what I want to do.
No,
No.
So first, it
Yeah.
looks stunning.
It does. It looks amazing.
And I'm not ruling it out. The only constraint for this trip is, you know, we have 4. We really have 5 or 6 days,
Yep.
but 4 days in the mountains, and
Yep.
it's going to be tough to get down there. But God, it looks beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is
So that's another trip.
so okay. I'm going to throw a third trip. Well, do you have any? You had some other things on your little spreadsheet over there. Maybe you didn't.
So actually farther south from there, where that split occurs on the Colorado Trail.
Okay, let's go back there.
If we wanted to stay, and what's nice about that kind of area is it's not too far from the ride and support and everything.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
So
you know, San Juans are gorgeous, but they're much farther.
So let's orient ourselves. So the first trip we talked about, the Leadville trip, is right here.
Mhm.
The stuff we just showed, Chicago Basin, that's like down.
all the way down.
Is that even on this map? Might not be, because
Um,
here's Durango.
Yeah, it's up. It's toward the Weminucci up in that.
So
kind of
like
area.
up in here. Okay, so now let's go to what you're referring to. We're back to the collegiate split here.
And so on either side of that split, there's actually the potential to do something very similar to what we're looking at up with the others. So I know
Okay.
Huron is down just to the
let's
top.
go back to Google Maps.
And now Huron,
is it Mount Huron?
Mount Huron, is one of the lowest 14ers in terms of elevation, and it's a really easy, quick approach.
Okay, let me orient myself to where. Okay, so we're close to Denver. Oh, we're just south of where
just
we
south
are.
of where, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
just south from Leadville. there.
Okay. Okay.
And it's right off the Colorado Trail as well.
Oh, so we have another
Oh.
14er Colorado Trail trip?
Oh yeah, and on the eastern side of the divide, you have all the proper collegiate peaks. As well.
So what is this better than the first Leadville trip we discussed?
It's really just optional.
So many
You know?
options.
So many options.
Well, I mean, the great news is that there's so many audibles available.
So we could, in theory, decide. So if we were to do you have it, and we don't have to go through it all here, but do you have a 4-day trip in your head around this area?
Yeah. And that's really about just kind of stringing sections of trail and mileage together.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And considering access points, you know, where we could
Yeah.
leave a car or get dropped off.
Okay.
And I know that here, let me try to pull up a map here on my smaller screen.
No,
too.
you're good. You're good. I can see all sorts of stuff. I'm trying to see. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, here it is. Collegiate West Trailhead. Okay, this is the CT.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Oh, so we're on the okay. I see.
Yeah.
I know. where
So
we're at.
that's
Yep.
the west, kind of toward the top there.
I see what you mean.
Then if you go over to the east too, there's like, you know,
I don't even know where it is
Oxford
on
and
here.
Belford
Yeah.
and
Oh, right here,
Harvard
right
and
here.
Columbia.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
I
and
see.
some of those, and I think the Harvard and Columbia you can do together in a little loop.
Oh, these ones.
And that would be one that we could potentially hike a few miles down, camp, and do a big loop where we'd want to drop packs and hit
Trying to
both
find-
summits
Oh,
because
here's
they
the
connect
CT.
to each
Okay,
other,
Here's the CT.
and then come back down to it.
Okay. I see.
and then continue south or
So-
go north. I mean, we could reverse these trips completely also.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we could, I mean, on that other trip, we could start up at South Lake
Yep,
and
you're right.
do Elbert first and then Massive second as an option
Yeah.
and hike north to Leadville.
That's not a bad idea because we wouldn't hit Elbert on a Saturday.
So
Yeah.
Mad Hippies is saying San Luis Peak on trail, way less people, more remote, all backpacking. Just saying. I don't know what that is.
Cool.
Let's put
Yeah.
it in here.
Get her up.
San Luis Peak. All right, where are we? Okay, we are far from. Oh no, we're not like super far. Oh, let's see what we got on the old satellite here. Oh wow, look at all this stuff. So where I bet the Colorado Trail is around here somewhere. Let's see what this is.
Yeah, so it's still down in the San Juans.
Oh, it's CDT. God, CDTs.
Yeah.
Now, something like this though, where are you dropping a car?
Yeah, that's kind of where, and then it's gonna be a ways down there.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, it's still absolutely optional. I mean, that's again gorgeous
Yeah.
part of the state.
I wish we had more time for this trip.
I know, right?
I'd like to get down into the into the San Juans.
I know. That's the only problem with going this far is you lose like half
Yeah.
a day.
I wish
at
we had
least on
like
each
a
side.
solid week.
Yeah, I know. 4 days, it's tough. That's what makes the Leadville thing a little bit more attractive
I
because you could,
know.
because like in theory, we could fly in Wednesday night. We could, we could be hiking in Thursday morning,
Yeah.
or whatever day of the week.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the only issue with this stuff that's further away.
Yeah, it takes that day to get.
Okay, here's my last wild card. I don't know if we discussed this. What if I said I just want to be on the Colorado Trail for as long as possible for 4 days?
Yeah, and then pick a section.
I mean, right? But I don't want to do that. I like this 14er thing.
If we were doing that, this is what I would say we would do. We'd pick out the we because we ended in Breck. So what we would do then?
But let's say we don't want to start in Breck for the next section.
No, I would end in Breck. I'd go.
So you
fo-
go
and then
to
I'd-
Leadville almost.
Yeah, and then I would walk
Backwards.
back and end in Breck, and then you could chill in Breck for a half day or something.
You don't want to chill in Leadville. Do it the other way.
Breakfast.
Have you've been to Breck?
Oh, yeah.
haven't you? Yeah, so you're well versed in all things Colorado. I
Pop
know.
up quandary while we're in Breck. So
I know. All right, so we got a lot of options. I'm liking the not kill ourselves in the Chicago Basin option 1. And I like the idea that we can decide on day 3 what to do.
I think so far option 1 seems to be pretty cool because we get a combination of some pretty.
It kind of checks a lot
Colorado
of boxes because
backpacking.
it's not super far from Denver. You get to be on the Colorado Trail and you get to hit at least maybe one 14 or maybe 2.
Yeah.
And it's 30 miles. So it kind of does check a lot of boxes. And looking at the map,
and if you do not 2 14ers, it'd be significantly less mileage.
correct. It doesn't look like water is an issue. Although in Colorado, it's usually not super wet, but like there's water. There's water.
There's a lot of small tarns and lakes, but then also creeks that are just like all over the place.
We
And
were-
you might hike a few hours between them, but when you get them, they're typically good water
Scott,
sources.
we're getting some comments on you're saying cricks.
Are you from
That
Pittsburgh?
you must be from Pittsburgh.
I'm from Pittsburgh. No, I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
But I didn't know cricks was a Pittsburgh thing.
Neither did I. Creek, whatever.
Crick? I
Holler.
like it.
Do I say holler?
That's a
What's
that's,
wait?
that's
What's a
Ohio.
holler?
You don't
You've
know
never
what a
heard of a
holler is?
holler?
What's a holler?
It's a hollow.
I'm like holler at you.
No,
Yeah,
like a
It's a
hollow.
hollow.
I know what a hollow is.
Yeah, that's it.
It's
So
a
they
holler.
call a holler.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's like a Southern Ohio thing too.
yeah.
That sounds like a southern.
West Virginia.
So Ron Reed says CT section 7-8 are nice.
That's right after. Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it looks like, so if we did this thing, looks like water's good. Looks like trail access is good. Logistics look, I mean,
I think
we're
it's
spoiled.
pretty
We're
easy,
spoiled.
yeah.
I think the downside is, and I don't necessarily have a problem with this because we're tourists, but the downside is the 14ers will be packed.
That is an actual downside
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. No, they're not going to be as bad as Beardstadt or something like that. And if we're diligent about getting up pretty early, getting up, we would have a head start because there's
Yeah.
a lot of people that come up and do them in a single day.
Like
So
they
we'll come in
drive.
and invade the trailhead and then get up them. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So if we're there, and even in some cases a couple miles in, we'll be ahead of that crowd. But on the way down, we'll be passing some people.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
okay. Great. We'll zip them with the drone.
Yeah.
Gee, I have to check the drone.
Yeah,
laws
I was
in
just gonna
this
say you
area.
need to check the drone laws first.
I know, but I love a good drone shot. All right, that was good.
That was awesome, Scott. Thank you.
You did all the work for us.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I didn't do that much work. I mean, it's just looking at stuff.
If you if I was like, I think you might have touched base on, if I was like, hey, we can go, like, where is the most, I think you just talked about the most sought after spot in your mind to go in Colorado, like your bucket list Colorado spot. Is
Yeah,
it
I
that
think you
area
said
you were talking
Chicago
about
Basin.
earlier?
I mean, I think that's the one that I haven't yet managed to get to. That I've.
I mean,
for
how cool would it be taking a
decades
train?
wanted to
The
get.
train
I know,
aspect
right? Yeah.
alone is pretty sick.
Yeah.
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 It's and just there's some really cool peaks. It's just gorgeous, that whole area. I mean, this San Juan's are.
It
some of
looks
the
really
best.
pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe another time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe we say F it. And we're like, I don't know. Let's just do it. I don't know. Probably not.
You have to take off time off the other trip.
I know, right? No, I know. We're still trying to convince Scott to come on the other trip. Back to backpacking
to.
considerations. What do you have to pay off your wife with?
Exactly, and that's
To
what
get
it's
2
all
weeks.
gonna come down to.
Yeah. No, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
We cranked this out. All we need to do now is, and we already have we just need to pick the actual dates, and we have a
specific dates.
we
yeah.
have a pretty close span that we're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a Buckeye Peak that's somewhere near maybe where it's not a 14er, but
How many 14ers are there?
there's 50 some
Oh,
of them,
shit.
and it kind of depends
Buckeye
on.
Peak. Where is this?
It depends a little bit on your definition of what it is, what a 14er is, because depending on the saddle, the distance between two peaks. So like,
Is there gonna be snow up here?
there might be small patches on
Okay.
off
But not,
sides
like,
depending
snow,
on time
snow.
of year. So there is debate actually about how
Okay.
many 14ers there are, you know,
Oh,
which is
okay.
kind of funny.
That is kind of funny.
And so I mean, there's like some say 53, others. I'm trying to look like what like Gary Roach had because he's kind of the
Buckeye Peak.
got to be.
There's
the
Buckeye
least
Lake.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, there's snow whenever they took this
Yeah, it
picture.
says Buckeye Peaks 12,867.
Ooh, that's not even close. I like this whole, so that, like, I know nothing about like peak bagging culture. It's like its
Sure.
own
It's its own
thing.
thing,
It's
yeah.
its own thing, you know?
And in like anything else, like it gets
hated.
oh yeah, and it absolutely
Hey,
should be hated to some degree.
Here's
you
a game changer.
What?
You can fly from Denver to
I saw
Durango.
that. I know
know?
you
Yeah,
can.
you can fly.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
It's
well,
true.
sure, yeah, but then you don't have a car.
That's true.
And so
You just need a train.
the cool thing about the Chicago
Scott,
Basin is you
is your
don't need a
wife
car.
going to be just ferrying us through?
I know, right? I mean, the cool thing about the
Shout out.
Chicago Basin is you can absolutely fly to Denver or to Durango, and then you get on the train in Durango and take the train up to Chicago Basin. So you don't need a car to get down there.
Oh, I see what you mean.
But then, honestly, like the time it takes to drive to Denver in Denver traffic and sort through security at DIA and fly to Durango, you can
Yeah,
almost just drive there too.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
58 14ers, according to Rocky Top Wrangler.
And there are 53, according to 14ers.com.
Ooh, they're so
And
contentious.
so this is what I'm saying. So because
I feel like the definition should be pretty easy.
Yeah.
Is it above 14,000 feet?
Well, but the point is this, like if you have a 14,000 foot peak and then there's a saddle that drops 200 feet and that comes back up 200 feet to another peak.
yeah.
Are those two separate mountains or is that
Yes.
one mountain?
No, it's two separate ones.
And
I
so
don't know.
some people
Maybe
would
not.
often say, what is that? What is your line? You know, because if it's 10 feet, then it's one mountain. If
I
it's
see what
20
you
feet, if
mean.
it's 200 feet,
So
where do you draw
Is
that line?
that the demarcation, the dip, or not the distance between the two?
It's a little bit of its prominence, it's the mass of the mountain itself. So different people define those things in different ways. So there is debate on exactly how many there are. And so some people, like when you get into peak bagging, it gets really much like through hiking, much like
Yeah.
anything. Like people that
Yeah.
get really in these wormholes, it becomes awkward, right? Because some people will try to make the claim that you have to have a minimum ascent and descent. So for example, there's there's 4 Colorado peaks: Lincoln, Cameron, Democrat, and Bras. They're all in like one big circular trail. You can hike and go across the summits of all 4 of them in a pretty small distance of time. And some people would make the argument that you would have to technically climb one, descend,
I see.
climb the next one, descend.
He's like the purist.
Climb the next one, descend to count
Purists.
as if you've climbed all of them,
Okay.
as opposed to just hiking across all of them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, whatever. It's like, what is your climb? What is your
Yeah,
trail? You know,
right,
you define your own
right.
parameters, and I don't know. You know, that's why Winston was like, "Oh, how many are there?" Well, there's 58. There's 53. Sure.
I
You know,
see what you mean.
what are your parameters? How
I
do you
see.
define those peaks, those prominences, the saddles, the dips? Like that North Aeolus and Aeolus that we were talking about. You know, like,
They're right
is
next
that
to each
2 or is
other.
that 1? Who knows?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
So Ron
Interesting.
Reed said there are 58 14ers named on the USGS.
So he's going
maps.
by the USGS.
Well, exactly. But then some of those aren't considered because
Yeah.
the saddles are
'Cause
too
they're
small. So it's
okay.
one peak or one massive, you know.
Here's an interesting comment too. Greg Morton says you need to have at least 300 feet of elevation gain for it to be a 14 peak.
And that's a common thing in terms of the saddles between them.
Yeah.
But again, people have debated that too.
Right,
So
right,
that is
right.
commonly an accepted term. Whatever.
Hey, if we're standing on the top of something that's 14,000 feet,
I think that's. I feel like it's like if is it above 14,000 feet? Okay, then why is it called a 14er if it's not? But then you bring up some good points about if there are 2 points 10 feet away from each other, should those be 2 14ers? Yeah, I get it.
And again, like the saddle, if it's
Yeah.
299 feet
Yeah,
versus 300 feet.
just put some rocks on it.
yeah, exactly. You know,
build a
like,
cairn.
who knows? You know.
I love it. Okay, let's wrap this up.
Wow. Okay, so first of all, everybody needs to go over to the Endeavor Brewing
Yeah,
and Spirits
so-
YouTube channel.
First, do that. Scott's got his own podcast. If you're in the Columbus area, please go check out Endeavor. It's in Grandview. Great beer, great atmosphere, great patio.
You can bring your dog.
One of the best patios. And they're doing COVID right. Don't be worried about that. We were there last Friday. Check it out. His channel is linked in the description. This was really fun. This is a fun podcast.
Yeah.
You did all the planning work. Thank you. But I think we had a good conversation on like what goes through your mind when you're planning trips, and it's always so different based on where you're going. You know,
For sure.
This one we got the 14ers aspect of it, so it kind of throws that wrench into it, and we've got the fact that our transportation issues are pretty easy relatively. Like if we were trying to do this trip and we were just like renting a car or something, it would be a little bit trickier because you'd have to loop this or something. I don't know what you do.
Yeah.
So we're kind of spoiled in that. So thank you for that. But yeah, a little insight into how we plan trips. We just plan one live. I bet we're going to do the first thing. I can't see us doing 2 14ers, but we'll see.
We're gonna put it on the agenda.
I mean,
if we go to the plan one now.
I don't think you're going up Sunlight Peak.
Oh God,
Whatever it is.
No, I seriously have some height issues. So
Okay. Yeah. And that's the thing.
Okay.
Like, both of
Didn't know that.
Massive and Elbert, like,
yeah,
you
no, I
shouldn't
mean,
have
I
height
saw the there are people bringing dogs up there. I forgot about it.
Yeah. It's their trails.
All right. Anything else?
no, this was awesome. So
This was super fun.
yeah, and everybody that's listening, just via the podcast, watch it on YouTube, get the full picture.
Yeah, we had things up on screen the whole time, so it's super helpful. And if you're someone who's looking to plan a trip to Colorado, both the comments of this video are a really good resource. What Scott has talked about is a great resource, and hopefully, somebody gets out there.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody in the chat for all the great tips and suggestions.
Yeah,
I was
thank
reading
you.
them. Yeah.
We will be back next Friday with the call-in show. Have I told you what
You mentioned that last time.
Yeah. We're going to put some more stuff out on Instagram this week, but next Friday, everybody, you are not going to want to miss this. So that is it.
We'll be back to our sloppy selves.
We'll be back. Thank you to Scott. Thanks for bringing the booze as always. This is great stuff. I'm glad I only drank one.
Yeah.
Sneaky.